Andrew.
Yeah.
When I was in jail, I focused on doing push-ups and reading the Quran. And when I am home, I will focus on doing push-ups and reading the Quran.
If she managed to hold herself together, the call to prayer, isn't that beautiful? It's a sign from the heavens. Everything I say is true. Also means I have some praying to do, because I've converted to Muslim now, converted to Islam.
I know that one of the few books he has access to is the Quran, and knowing him, he'll be devouring that. He needs something. He doesn't have a phone. He doesn't have, his usual work. I'm willing to bet that he's spending a lot of time reading. One of the things that I pray for every day in the mosque is that this experience brings him closer to a faith that is lasting and is real. And I believe that's happening.
I will focus on the push-ups and I will read the Quran.
Here's an example of something you could read in the Quran. Do you think that you will enter the garden of bliss without such trials as came to those who passed away before you? They encountered suffering and adversity and were so shaken in spirit that even the messenger among them and those of faith who were with him cried, "When will the help of Allah come?" Ah, verily, the help of Allah is always near. Fighting is prescribed upon you, and you dislike it. But it is possible that you dislike a thing which is good for you, and that you love a thing which is bad for you. But Allah knows, and you know not. Hey guys, so Andrew Tate has just been released from prison. He spent 90 days in a Romanian prison. During that time, Ramadan came around. He was fasting.
My food comes at 8 a.m., noon, and 5 p.m. I have a plastic bag I use to try and protect the food from insects. I spend my entire day destroying the flies and the ants who get close to the meal. And now, understand this. So he gets his food brought to him, but he can't eat at that time when the food is brought to him. So he's preserving his food, protecting his food from the flies and the insects. And then Andrew goes on to say, in accordance with Ramadan, when the sun goes down, I eat the stone-cold food in my cell by myself.
Apparently the only book that he really had access to was the Quran, and he spent his time basically fasting, reading Quran, and doing push-ups. When the paparazzi were swarming him as he got out of the prison, he basically said, hey, I was doing push-ups and reading the Quran in prison, and when I get home, I'm going to be doing push-ups and reading Quran. Now, Andrew Tate's conversion was pretty controversial, not just for non-Muslims, but for Muslims as well. Basically, the Muslim community split into the haters and supporters. Most of the men really like Tate because he comes off as very masculine. He's strong, he's in shape, he's disciplined. He has great cars, Bugattis and Lamborghinis. It's safe to say that he's also smooth with girls. So he has pretty much everything a man strives for. The mindset and the discipline, to the body, to the actual results and the material that he's amassed. A lot of women, on the other hand, were really skeptical.
Tate's reach is unparalleled. He's using his platform not for good, but to call people to evil.
Basically, they think that Andrew Tate is converting to get a new market, to get impressionable young Muslim youth to get into his Hustlers University. For me, I think that his actions in prison speak really, really loud. If you were in prison for 90 days in a Romanian prison and Ramadan rolled around, would you be protecting your food from insects so that you could break your fast? Would you fast at all? Would you have that kind of resolve and discipline to do push-ups and the confidence to know that this is temporary and that this too shall pass? Would you question God? How could God let this happen? And this is basically what I find really cool about Andrew Tate. He embodies what is true about so much about life. You need to be willing to feel bad to get good results. You could call this the feel bad, get good paradox. Like in the verse I read in the intro, the Quran is constantly framing life as a test. Ultimately, the test is for paradise. And the argument is, did you think it would be easy? Did you think that you would just say, I'm a believer, and that you would get through? There was an example of a prophet being tested so bad that even he, who is in direct communication with God, was questioning, when is the help gonna come? Think of Moses at the water with Pharaoh at his back and not knowing if he's going to be able to get out of this with his people alive. Even in the story of Prophet Yusuf or Joseph, he actually goes to prison, and that time in prison turns out to be the best thing that could have happened for him. Ultimately, this experience of being in prison leads to him attaining a really high status in Egypt. To quote a famous Muslim scholar and reading right from Andrew Tate's Twitter page, Ibn Taymiyyah said, "What can my enemies do to me? If they imprison me, it's time for worship. If they exile me, I'm on the path of Allah. And if they kill me, I'm a martyr." No matter what happens, you're going to be good. Every single situation is a place to grow and to get closer to your goal. You get used to the training. You get used to the pain, you get used to being sore, you get used to the long hours in the library. You even might start to love it. Many a time, exactly what you need is what you don't want and what will feel initially bad. You essentially have to be willing to push yourself beyond what's comfortable. For me, watching Andrew come out and say, "I'm going to be doing push-ups and reading the Quran," speaks volumes to how much he's changed. Fighters and athletes inherently know that pain is part of the process. If you look at Andrew Tate's Twitter page, you'll see that he's pretty much positive about it. "No tears, I win." In his own words, "Since last year I've been in 24-hour lockdown, no yard time, pacing a 3-meter cell with zero electronics or outside contact, absolute clarity of mind, real thoughts, real plans, vivid pain. 1 hour home and I can't stand my phone. Some habits die hard. We must defeat Shaitan." Shaitan is basically the Arabic word for Satan or the devil. So it seems like prison has really emboldened his faith. Satan would want you in that situation to be crying in the corner of your cell, to be compromising all of your values, to be questioning God's will or even the existence of him or how he could let you even get into prison. According to the Quran, Satan's game is literally getting you to pursue what feels good. And we know that achieving the best things in life require you to go through some pain to feel bad. You can't always follow your desires because your desires will almost undoubtedly lead you to ruin. Okay, skipping class, you'll never graduate. If you just eat sugar and carbs, you're gonna gain weight, get fat, get sick. So yeah, I'm not surprised that Andrew Tate came out with a positive experience. Here's what Mike Tyson had to say about his time in prison.
"I had the best 3 years of my life in prison."
Wow.
Yeah.
That's interesting for you to say that, bro, because you had millions.
I had peace, though.
Over the $30 million for one fight? Jay-Z's lying.
Hey, listen, can I tell you something? That don't mean nothing when you don't have your peace, your stability, your balance. You don't give a fuck. You don't even want it. You want to give it to somebody else.
Yeah.
You need your sanity to dictate any part of life. Because, God, I always tell people, God punishes you by giving you everything you want. See if you can handle it.
And for Muhammad Ali, being in prison was actually better than compromising his values.
Well, I'm gonna shoot them for what? How am I gonna shoot them? Them little poor little black people and little babies and children and women. How can I shoot them poor people? I would just take me to jail.
So to wrap this up, I just want to put out there, especially to the Muslims who are doubting Andrew Tate's sincerity, that pretending to be another religion is not really on the top of my list for how to get more popular.
So a lot of people out there who say I don't take it seriously, I find that quite offensive. I take it very seriously. I think God is the most serious thing on the planet. And just because I live a life in which I have all of Earth's worldly treasures does not mean that I neglect my spirituality, because I understand how important spirituality is. Hedonism and all the world's earthly pleasures are a black hole. You cannot fill it. You must feel happy deep inside of yourself.
Just think of all the pretending you'd have to do. And think of how that would affect your audience if you were Andrew Tate. When I think of Andrew Tate fans, I typically think of white males who are right-leaning. I don't think those people really love Muslims, to be honest. So why would you risk it all and say that you're Muslim if you didn't believe it, if you weren't being sincere? And that brings me to the charges that are laid against Andrew Tate. Is he completely innocent? Probably not. In the Prophet Muhammad's time, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, There were people who used to literally kill Muslims who converted and then were accepted and forgiven by the group. I'm not trying to undermine what Andrew Tate may have potentially done, but we really have to go with innocent until proven guilty. And just being realistic, I'm gonna assume that he's a little guilty for sure. But yeah, that's my thoughts on it. I mean, how did you feel about hearing Andrew Tate's words when he got out of prison? Do you trust that he's a real Muslim? Do you care? Do you think he's innocent? Do you think he's guilty? Do you think Hustlers University is a scam? Let me know in a comment, and thank you so much for watching. I'm Sharif from Culture Toronto, and I'll see you next time. Peace.